I wasn't looking for her. That's the truth. I wasn't searching for some deep, life-shifting connection. I was 22, broke, aimless, and mostly living for tips. Cheap beer and late-night hookups that meant nothing in the morning. But when she walked into the bar that night, everything changed. I didn't know it then. I didn't know that the way she glanced over the rim of her wine glass would burn into my memory. That the way she smiled, not flirty, but amused, like she already knew something I didn't, would haunt me long after. I didn't know this woman, this complete stranger who looked so effortlessly composed, would undo me in every way. She was older. I noticed that right away, not in a bad way, not like she was old, but in the way she carried herself. The way her eyes scanned the room without needing anything from anyone. Most women who came to that place came to be seen, didn't she? Came to disappear, or maybe to breathe. She had this quiet confidence, like she had already lived a whole life and didn't need to prove a damn thing to anyone. Her hair was pulled back into this loose bun, some strands falling around her face. She wore this soft gray sweater and black jeans, but somehow she looked more striking than the women who came in dressed to kill. She sat at the far end of the bar, ordered a glass of Malbec, and opened a book, an actual book. Not her phone. I watched her, trying not to make it obvious. I was good at that, watching without being caught. But when I brought her drink over, her eyes met mine for the first time, and I swear it was like being hit by a current. Deep brown eyes, soft but unreadable, with the kind of gaze that makes you feel like you're being studied, not judged, just seen. Like she could pick apart everything I was pretending to be and smile anyway. "You look too young to know a good Malbec," she said, her voice low and calm, with a little edge of playfulness. "Guess I'll have to impress you then," Kay replied, trying to keep it cool. Her mouth curved into a small smile. "Good luck." With that, she came in every Friday after that. Sometimes alone, sometimes with friends. But she always found a way to make eye contact, to ask about my week, to make me feel like the center of the damn universe for 5 minutes. I started looking forward to those moments more than I ever admitted. I memorized how she liked her wine room temp, not Titanic. I made jokes to make her laugh and would catch myself replaying that laugh in my head when I couldn't sleep at night. Her name was Richa. I didn't know her last name for a while, and part of me liked it that way. She was this beautiful mystery, someone I got to piece together slowly. We started talking more. Longer conversations when things at the bar slowed down. She was smart. God, she was smart, could talk about books and politics and music without ever sounding like she was trying to impress. She wasn't trying at all. She was just her, real, grounded. And she made me feel like maybe I was more than some kid pulling pints and chasing tips. She made me feel like a man. The night everything shifted. The sky had opened up and the bar was nearly empty. I was closing alone. She was my last customer, nursing a second glass of wine and watching the rain slide down the windows. I was wiping down the bar when she asked, "Do you ever wonder if you're living the wrong version of your life?" I looked at her, really looked. There was something vulnerable in her then, something cracked just beneath the surface. "Every damn day," I said. She laughed softly, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Yeah," she said, "me too." Something in that moment felt different. The distance between us wasn't just physical anymore, it was intimate, electric. I didn't plan it. I didn't think. I just leaned in, and she didn't stop me. Her lips met mine, like we were already halfway there, like she'd been waiting for me to make that move and didn't want to give me a reason to second guess it. We kissed like people who needed it. Kate, like we were starving and just realized food was real. She tasted like red wine and rain. Hand slid behind my neck, fingers tightening just enough to make me forget where I was. When we pulled back, her eyes searched mine for something, permission, maybe, or an escape. "I shouldn't be doing this," she whispered. "You're too young." I didn't say anything. I just kissed her again. And that night, I didn't go home. I followed her out into the storm, to her apartment high above the bay. and into something I didn't have words for yet. Something that felt dangerous and beautiful and completely out of my control. I didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know where it would go. All I knew was that for the first time in a long time I felt. And even though every voice in my head was screaming that this would end in fire, I let myself burn. Asterisk, I don't know how to describe that first night at her place without sounding like I'm making it up. Like I'm trying to write some kind of fantasy. But it wasn't perfect, not in the movie scene kind of way. It was better than that. It was real. Messy, heated, full of nervous laughter, and that thick kind of tension that makes you fumble with buttons and forget how to breathe. I remember her pulling me into her condo like she didn't want to give herself a second to overthink it. Like, if we paused for even a moment, she'd talk herself out of what we were about to do. Her place was modern and clean coal-toned walls, sharp lines, and big windows that looked out over the dark, rain-slick city. It was beautiful, but kind of cold. Like a magazine layout that someone lived in but never made theirs. She didn't even take off her coat right away. We stood in her kitchen under dim amber light, dripping water from our jackets, breathing. Too fast, too close. And then she kissed me again, deeper, like she meant it. Like she'd made up her mind, and whatever the consequences were, they could wait until tomorrow. We didn't rush. That surprised me. I thought we would tear into each other, but instead, it was like she wanted to memorize every inch of me. She kissed my collarbone like it was something sacred. She whispered my name like it was new to her lips. And the way she touched me, low, deliberate, God, it drove me out of my skin. She didn't treat me like a kid. She didn't treat me like a one-night distraction. She touched me like she wanted me, not just for my body, but for something else. Something she hadn't had in a long time. Afterward, we laid tangled together on her bed, both of us half naked under a mess of sheets. She lit a cigarette with shaking hands, said she'd quit, but tonight didn't count. I just watched her. Watched the way the smoke curled into the ceiling. The way her expression turned distant, like she was slipping somewhere far away from me. That was the first time I saw the sadness in her, the kind that doesn't scream, doesn't ask for help. The kind that just lives inside someone, quietly eating away at them. I used to love nights like this, she said suddenly, her voice low, tired. Before everything got so complicated. What got complicated? I asked. She looked at me, then really looked, and I saw this flicker of something in her eyes. Regret, maybe? Guilt? But she didn't answer. Just stubbed out the cigarette and curled into my chest like she wanted to pretend none of it existed. We started seeing each other regularly after that. But always at night. Always behind closed doors. I'd text her from work, and if she was free, I'd come by after my shift. She never spent the night at my place. Said it was too small, too noisy, too young. She liked the quiet of her space, the way the city looked from her windows. I didn't argue. I would have followed her anywhere. I told myself it didn't matter that I was her secret, that we only existed in shadows and whispers. I was addicted to her scent, to the way she laughed when I kissed the back of her neck, to the way her breath caught every time I whispered how beautiful she was. I was falling hard, and I didn't care how far. Still, there were signs, little red flags I chose to ignore. She never wanted to talk about her past. I knew she'd been married, but the details were always vague. He didn't see me. She said once. Not really. I didn't ask more because part of me was afraid of what I'd hear. She never introduced me to her friends, never let me take photos of us, even just for fun. I like this being just ours, she'd say. Pressure, no eyes. And I'd nod, pretending I didn't crave more, pretending I didn't want to show her off. My friends started to ask questions. Who is she? Why are you always disappearing? But I kept her to myself, fiercely protective of something I barely understood. One night, after we'd made love and were lying on the couch, she pulled a book off the shelf and started reading to me. It was Pablo Neruda. I can write the saddest lines. Her voice cracked on the last stanza. I didn't ask why. I just pulled her close, held her like I could keep all the pieces from falling apart. She looked up at me with this soft, broken smile. You make me feel alive again, she said. And I didn't think that was possible. I almost told her I loved her right then. The words were right there on the edge of my tongue. But something held me back, maybe the way her eyes darted away when she said it. Like even that confession scared her. Like I scared her. Looking back now, I think she already knew she couldn't keep me, that this wasn't built to last. But in those moments, we didn't care. We were fire and rain, tangled in sheets and half-truths, pretending the outside world didn't exist. And for a while, that lie was enough. It was bound to happen, the shift. That slow, subtle unraveling that starts with little things you almost miss or choose to ignore. At first, I thought I was imagining it. The way she'd suddenly go quiet in the middle of a conversation. She wouldn't answer my texts as fast as she used to. How sometimes, after sex, she'd lie there staring at the ceiling like she was miles away. But denial is easier when you're in too deep. And I was so deep in it, I didn't want to admit anything was wrong. I wanted to believe we were still in that honeymoon phase, those stolen nights. Those breathless kisses, the way she made me feel like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. But something had shifted, something I couldn't name yet, but could feel in my bones. It really started the night I asked her to meet my friends. I said it casually, like it was no big deal. We were lying in bed, her head on my chest, fingers lazily tracing circles on my stomach. They keep asking about you, I said. Come out with us Saturday. It's just drinks, nothing fancy. She went stiff. Just for a second, but I felt it. I don't think that's a good idea, she said. Why not? They wouldn't understand. I don't want to be a topic of conversation at your next party. It's not like that. I just want them to know who you are. She sat up, pulling the sheet around her. And what exactly are we, huh? What would you even introduce me as? The question hit like a slap. I didn't know how to answer because we'd never defined this thing, but I thought we didn't have to. I thought what we had was obvious, real. I looked at her. I'd introduce you as someone who matters to me. She didn't say anything, just got up, walked to the kitchen, and poured herself a glass of wine. The wall between us unspoken, but always there suddenly felt taller than ever. That was the first real fight. Or maybe just the first time I let myself see the cracks. After that, things got weird. She canceled plans last minute, said she was tired or busy with work. But when I dropped by the bar on one of those nights, I saw her across the street, walking with a man. He was older, maybe her age, tall, clean-shaven, wearing a suit. She didn't see me. I didn't follow her. I didn't want to be that guy, but I couldn't unsee it. A few days later, her phone buzzed while she was in the shower. I wasn't snooping. It was face up on the table. A text preview lit up the screen. Mark, can we talk tonight? One miss. My heart dropped. I felt cold. Like everything I thought we were building just cracked underfoot. When she came out, I asked, not accusing, just needing to know. Who's Mark? She barely hesitated. It's an old friend. From before? Before what? Before you. She kissed me after. Like that would erase the question. Erase the doubt, but it didn't. That night when she fell asleep beside me, I lay awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling. I felt something I hadn't felt since the beginning. Distance. This invisible wall growing between us, built out of lies I hadn't heard yet, and truths she wasn't ready to give. And for the first time, I asked myself something I hadn't dared to before. What if I'm not the only one? Asterisk. It all unraveled faster than I expected. One week we were wrapped in each other, tangled in our sheets like nothing could touch us, and the next, I could feel her slipping away, like trying to hold water in my hands. She started answering less, shorter replies, longer silences. I told myself she was just busy. I told myself I was overthinking it. But my gut wouldn't shut up. I stopped sleeping well, started checking my phone obsessively, waiting for her name to pop up. And when it did, it was never what I needed. Never "I miss you." Never "come over." Just polite, careful words like she was pulling away without actually saying so. The night it happened, I wasn't supposed to see her. She said she had a work event and would be gone late. I believed her. I always did. But something kept nagging at me. And I know how this sounds. I didn't plan to go by her place. I wasn't trying to spy on her. But I was in her neighborhood, and I don't know. I guess I needed to see if she was lying. Maybe I wanted to prove myself wrong. Her building had big glass windows in the lobby. I stood across the street in the rain, hoodie up, heart pounding like I'd stolen something. I felt pathetic, obsessed. But then I saw them, her and him, coming out of the elevator, laughing, close, too close. He had his hand on her lower back. She didn't flinch. They didn't see me. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. I watched them walk out into the night, arm in arm, like they belonged together. Like I never existed. I didn't sleep that night, didn't text, didn't rage or cry. I just sat in my dark apartment, staring at the wall, trying to figure out what hurt more, the betrayal, or the fact that I wasn't even surprised the next day I called her. She answered on the second ring. "Hey," she said, voice calm. "Too calm. I saw you," I said. "Last night, with him." Silence. Then a long sigh. I didn't want. "You too? Find out like that?" That told me everything. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't innocent. She knew what she was doing, and she'd been doing it for a while. "Who is he?" I asked, barely recognizing my own voice. "My ex-husband." She said, "Mark." My stomach dropped. "You told me he didn't see you?" "That you left him." "I did. But we've been talking again, trying to figure things out, and me." I asked, "What was I?" She didn't answer right away, and when she did, it broke me. "You were something I needed. It's been in the moment. A reminder that I could still feel up. But it wasn't supposed to go this far. If I felt sick." Used like some temporary high she took to forget the wreckage of her real life. A warm body to fill a gap while she decided if she wanted her old one back. "I loved you," I said, quieter than I meant. She went silent again. That silence said everything. I hung up, and for the first time since I met her. I wished I'd never walked over to her side of the bar. There's a kind of heartbreak that doesn't come with yelling or slammed doors. It just lingers in the silence after someone leaves. That's what it was like with Rachel. No dramatic ending. No screaming match. Just absence. And the echo of everything she never said. The morning after that final call, I stared at my reflection for a long time. I looked the same, but something in me had changed. Something big. It wasn't just the pain of betrayal, was this deep, hollow ache that came from realizing I was never real to her. Not the way she was to me. I wasn't a partner. It wasn't even a mistake. I was a phase. A beautiful, temporary distraction. I stopped going near her neighborhood, deleted her number, told my friends it had ended and left it at that. They never got the full story. I didn't want their pity or their advice. What could they say? That I should have known better. That falling for a woman years older, someone still tied to her ex, was a bad idea. I already knew all that. But knowing it didn't make it hurt any less. The weird part is, the world didn't stop. I still had to show up for work, still had to pour drinks, make small talk, laugh with customers. And every Friday night I'd look toward the door without meaning to, waiting for her to walk in again. But she never did. One night, maybe a month. Later, I was closing up when a girl from the bar, Jamil, lingered longer than usual. She was sweet, a little wild, always smiling when I served her drinks. She asked if I wanted to come out with her friends after work, just casually. I almost said no, but then I realized I didn't want to spend another night thinking about Rachel, about all the things we almost were. So I went. Jamie was fun, loud in a way Rachel never was. Jay danced in the street barefoot and laughed with her whole body. And when she kissed me that night, it was messy and unexpected, but it felt real. Not like a distraction, not like a cover-up. Just two people who wanted to forget for a little while. Still, even in the middle of that kiss, I thought of Rachel. She was everywhere. In the wine aisle of the grocery store. In the scent of someone's perfume passing me on the street. In the book section where I once picked up a copy of Neruda and had to put it down before I completely lost it. She haunted me. Not in the way people do when they hurt you, but in the way someone does when they open something inside you didn't know existed. And then walked away before you figured out how to live with it. But slowly, day by day, her name stopped, echoing in my head. I started sleeping again, started saying yes to more things. I even went on a few real dates. I laughed, flirted. I kissed other mouths. And some nights I didn't think of her at all. That's how healing works, I guess. Not all at once. It's not with closure or perfect endings. But slowly, quietly, like waking up and realizing the storm is past and you're still standing. I never saw her again after that night. No texts, no accidental run-ins. It was like she'd erased herself completely. But the funny thing is, even now, sometimes when it's raining and I smell red wine in the air, I think of her and part of me still misses what we almost had ... asterisk. It had been nearly 6 months since Rachel. 6 months since that final phone call, since I told her I loved her and she said nothing back. And even though I hadn't heard from her since, I still thought about her a less. Like a wound now, more like a scar I'd grown used to. Life had gone on. I'd moved forward. At least, I told myself I had. I was seeing Jamie more often. Nothing serious, we both liked it that way. But there was a lightness to her that helped me forget the heaviness I'd carried. She made me laugh again, made me feel wanted without complication. And for a while, I believed that chapter with Rachel was truly over. Until she showed up, it was a Sunday afternoon. I'd just finished a shift at the bar and was walking home. Earbuds in, lost in my usual playlist. I turned the corner onto my street. And there she was, leaning against the wall outside my building like some ghost that had taken a solid form. Hair pulled back, sunglasses on, hands wrapped around a paper coffee cup like she was trying to stay grounded. For a moment, I thought I was imagining it. She looked up, saw me, and smiled that same tired, complicated smile I knew too well. I froze. "Hey," she said, like we'd just bumped into each other at the grocery store. Like she hadn't torn me apart and disappeared. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice tighter than I wanted it to be. I didn't know where else to go. My heart kicked. Why now? She took off her sunglasses and I saw it in her eyes. Sadness, sure, but also something new. Regret, honesty, maybe even fear. I left him for good this time. I should have done it months ago, but I wasn't brave enough. I let the words sit between us like they were supposed, to fix everything. But they didn't. "I didn't come to ask for anything," she said quickly, reading my silence. "I just needed you to know I never stopped thinking about you. What we had, it wasn't just a distraction. I was scared. I didn't think someone like you could actually want someone like me. Not long term, not when the newness wore off." I shook my head, overwhelmed. "You let me fall for you. And then you let me burn." She nodded, eyes shining. "I know, and I've hated myself for it every day." We stood there in the quiet, cars passing. The smell of summer rain in the air. "I don't know what I expected coming here," she added. "Maybe just a chance to say sorry, to say I miss you, to say if there's any part of you that still feels something, I'd do it differently this time." I looked at her, at the woman who once consumed me so completely. She still looked like the Rachel I remembered, but something was different now. Maybe in her, definitely in me. And that's when I knew I didn't need her anymore. "I'm glad you're figuring things out," I said quietly, "but I don't. Think I can go back? even if part of me still cares. I'm not that person anymore. She looked down, nodded slowly. I understand. She turned to leave, but just before walking away, she glanced over her shoulder. You really were the first person to make me feel alive again. And then she was gone, just like that. I stood there for a long time, heart steady, no tears this time. Some people walk into your life to teach you how much love can hurt. Others walk out to show you how strong you really are. Rachel did both, and somehow I was grateful. Even for the heartbreak, even for her.